Hello. I seem to have a fan club out there. Just a few days ago, we all saw the release of the film The Promise. I was privileged to attend the New York City premiere last week and watch the movie for the first time. So if you haven't seen it yet, please go see it. And then take your friends and go see it again. This has been the long-anticipated epic film depicting the Armenian Genocide that we have all been waiting for. After 102 years, we finally have a film that will appeal to a mainstream audience. However, this was not the first film that was made about the Armenian Genocide. In fact, the first film ever to be made about any genocide occurred in 1919. It was called Ravished Armenia, or Auction of Souls as it was known. It was the true story of a young Armenian girl named Aurora Mardirossian who had witnessed the murder of her family and had herself been raped and tortured and sold into slavery. The film was based on Aurora's memoirs and adapted for the screen by Henry Gates. It was commissioned by the Near East Relief, which was looking for a new approach to raise the massive funds that it needed for its relief efforts. The filmmakers included pioneers such as producer William Seilig and director Oscar Apfel. Interestingly, they selected Aurora to portray herself in the film, only for her to succumb to a nervous breakdown, most probably due to her undiagnosed PTSD. The film went on to raise over $30 million of much-needed aid for the orphans under the care of the Near East Relief. The opening of the film took place just a few miles from here on February 16, 1919 at the Plaza Hotel. You don't have to go very far in the city to find remnants of the Armenian Genocide. In fact, New York City served as the headquarters for the Near East Relief, having been founded in September of 1915 in the offices of Cleveland H. Dodge on 99 John Street, just a few miles behind me. In addition to Dodge, and with the support of President Woodrow Wilson, its founding members included such notables as the Foreign Secretary to the American Board of Commissioners, James Vartan, U.S. Ambassador to Constantinople, Henry Morgenthau, industrialists and religious leaders such as Rabbi Stephen Weiss and Cardinal Gibbons. Let's not go too far. We're standing right here in Times Square, not very far from the New York Times headquarters, which published over 140 articles in 1915 about the Armenian Genocide and the efforts of the Near East Relief. That is why, when I selected the theater to premiere my own documentary film, They Shall Not Perish, The Story of Near East Relief, which was premiered just a few weeks ago on April 8th, I chose to do it at the Times Center as a symbolic gesture to the New York Times. This documentary is the first of its kind that focuses solely on telling the story about the genocide through an American perspective. It is way past due that the story of Near East Relief be written into American history books and taught to schools throughout the country. That is why we are partnering with organizations such as Facing History and ourselves to use this film as a visual tool to teach our students about the heroic American humanitarian mission that took place during the Armenian Genocide. When you see the film The Promise, you will also see scenes depicting these orphanages run by missionaries and American volunteers and how they rescued over 132,000 orphans and raised them to adulthood. Many of them were our parents, our grandparents, and great-grandparents. Over the last few years leading up to the centennial and through today, we have seen a renaissance in Armenian film cinema. Not just films made by Armenians for Armenians, but by talented non-Armenians, such as director of The Promise, Terry George, Turkish filmmaker of the cut, Katya Akin, Ahet, written by German filmmaker Eric Freelander, and my own co-producer and director of They Shall Not Perish, George Ballard. Let us not forget those Americans of Armenian descent who have also made significant contributions with films such as Orphans of the Genocide and Women of 1915, both from filmmaker Shant Mardirossian. And of course, Atamagoyan's film, Ararat, which started us all on this journey about the need to tell our stories on the big screen. There are so many more stories that need to be told, and I'm confident that we are just at the beginning of this renaissance in Armenian film and culture. Let us build on all the publicity and momentum that has been created by the release of The Promise. We now have the attention of Hollywood, from George Clooney to Christian Bale, Oscar Isaac, from the Kardashians to Angela Sarafian and Charlotte Laban, and now we have lots of friends to tell our story. With all the millions spent by the Turkish government and their lobbyists, you cannot suppress the truth. So join me in vowing to keep this promise, the promise to never forget, the promise to never be silent, the promise to stand up against genocide anywhere in the world, the promise to each other, and borrowing from a quote from the film, our revenge will be to survive, but I will add to it, will also be to thrive. Thank you.